won't spit on you too much. Not too much spray. Get the Shawn Michael windshield wiper. And there's the rock, the original rock, and come into the building. Mr. James Beard, who suffered through JBL's first match.
Because you might need to start it, so I need you on a mic first. You need a mic. You need a mic.
And there's Donna.
So me and you will share these.
Barbara.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about battling on air.
I would feel it's probably a tech.
And Minnesota Twin fans are going to be put down. My son's telling me to shut up.
All right, everybody.
Hello.
All right, guys. We're going to get this going.
Hey, first of all, I want to thank all you guys for coming out with me and Big Ace and this podcast. And it's not really about like the normal podcast. We want to know about the people. We want to hear about the stories. I want to know what type of music they listen to down the road. I want to know those type of stuff. So our podcast is a little bit different. We're not going to be the typical podcast, and it's going to be fun.
Exactly what he said. Sorry, I'm hitting buttons. All right, we're going to get our opening going here. All right, guys, welcome. It is the Brisco and Big Ace show, and that's right. A very special live edition. We're live on YouTube and some other stuff right here, so we're going live. We are at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. It is the Hall of Fame weekend. George Tragu's Lutha's Hall of Fame induction weekend. How many of you guys have been here before? Right? I know this is my 5th year. A year ago, this time here is actually where Brisco and Big Ace began, and it's been an interesting year since working with Wes Brisco. So, but we wanted to do this. We wanted to make this special, our 1 year together of doing a show. What better way to do this? And we've got amazing guests, guys. So we're going to go down the line. We've got James Jeffries from IPW.
Yeah.
We got Thunderbolt Patterson in the house. Of course, you guys know Wes. Next to us, we've got Mr. Jerry Brisco. We've got Mr. Sergeant Slaughter here as well. And a very big deal.
Yes.
First woman inducted into this Hall of Fame. So this is a big deal for her
yes.
this weekend. Beth Phoenix with us.
Yeah, come on, give it up.
Perfect.
Can you just say I'm a big deal again, just so my husband hears that?
I think we could do that, guys. How big of a deal is Beth Phoenix?
Yeah.
How big of a deal is her husband?
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go.
I appreciate that.
So, okay, well, let's get this rolling. First of all, I want to congratulate Beth. I mean, she has been a role model to me and to other wrestlers, because I can't just say female wrestlers, because she set the bar where it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a guy. She put on a show, and she was one of the best superstars ever, and she still is one of the greatest superstars. And it was such an honor to have her on a show. And when we both had to go through physical therapy, and that's a hard time. And I was always blessed to be able to have her, by my side. So I appreciate it.
Oh, that's yeah. It was ACL, right? We had stereo ACL injuries, and it was my first ligament surgery. I don't know. Was that your first too? Like a ligament? Second. And the rehab from that type of injury is really difficult. It's different than a bone break, and it can be demoralizing. So it's so nice to have a friend that we would just we bonded over that initially. But Wes, you're just such a wonderful person. I adore your dad, and you guys your family has just been such a big part of my career. I have so many great stories about your dad when he was working in WWE.
Well, let's hear one of them.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yep, but this is what we're here for. Let's hear one of these stories.
Okay, I have a couple. Well, one, this was okay. Early in my, and I'm sorry, I'm like already bogarting time. You put a microphone in my hand and here we go. But so I had a match on TV, and this may be shocking to you guys, but our time was cut. Wow, the girls' time was cut. Shocking. So, anyways, it was early in my career, and I'll never forget like standing in Gorilla, and I was wrestling Maria Kanellis at the time. And Jerry said to me, he goes, "Girl, you can have 30 seconds or you can have no match." And I just looked at him. I was like, "Give me the 30 seconds." So you helped me arrange, like we just sent Maria out. I just clobbered her and we just like did 30 seconds of like a little brawl. But at that time, like you looked at me like and gave me that motivation to be like, 30 seconds is important. That's a commercial for me as a performer. And I'm not going to give up. Even if it's 1 second of me winking, it's worth it. I'm going to fight for that. So I appreciated you fighting me for even for that little moment. And then I remember being in the ring and on the opposite end, see, at this time, the ladies were often, our times were cut a lot. And so I was in the ring wrestling and I had a shocking experience. And I was in there with somebody that was very inexperienced. So it wasn't necessarily easy to call stuff on the fly with some of the girls that were inexperienced, excuse me. So in the ring, I was given the message that you have 3 extra minutes, which was like, wait, what? Clearly I'm cut. No, I have more time to fill. So because I was inexperienced. And then in addition, I was in the ring with somebody else that was inexperienced. So we just kind of did what we had planned and just went home. 1, 2, 3. And like went home early, which I did not know at the time is like the cardinal sin on television wrestling. So I get to the back and I thought everything was great. The referee raised my hand and I was like, oh, I'm on a roll here. My work in WWE is off to a great start. I get to the back and I see Jerry and everybody's like looking at, it's dead silence. And then Jerry goes, "How do you feel?" I said, "I feel great." He goes, "What did you do out there?" I said, I just did the match as I was supposed to. He goes, "But we gave you time, and it was a really good learning experience. And I remember as I walked out of Gorilla, I ran into William Regal and he goes, "Just say sorry and never speak of it again." Never speak of it again. And but it was those were like great learning experiences. And then we had to talk about it a little bit later about like how important, how valuable that commercial time is for you. And you fought for us to have that time and to get everybody that moment, even though it's an organic moving vehicle. So that was a good learning experience for me early in my career to hit your times, hit your mark.
And my rebuttal to Beth, this is Jerry Brisco right there, and I happen to be the father of this guy here, Wes Brisco. So I enjoy getting that. Are you Wes Brisco's father? I enjoy hearing that question. But in rebuttal to Beth, the ladies in the beginning of WWE were used to attract the young men's eyeballs to our product. And the position I was in, kind of managing the show and then making sure the flow of the show went right, you learn after a while, because it's so critical, as Beth was just saying, and Sarge and some of these guys will back up you. When you're on live TV, you're either taking time away from the main event that's drawing you hundreds of thousands of dollars and helping put food on your table, or you're adding to it. It's better not to take away. And we had a lot of guys who were selfish and would take that time away. But the ladies that I worked with during that time, you're sitting there and we're traveling up on the road. We develop a certain respect for each other on the road and professionally in the ring. And so you know the people that you can trust, and the people that you got to cheat on. The people that you got to kind of back up a little bit time on, so because they're going to go long anyway. But the people who are dedicated and are going to hit it. And I think those two experiences made Beth in the future just hit her time just cold turkey every time after that. But what I'm saying, there was her and Trish and Vicky and Victoria and Lisa and a couple other girls that their matches were so good that I would become the fan that I am. And you didn't want to cut their matches; they earned that time. And so, and Beth will agree, there were times where they were expecting a cut, but I would add time to the match because the match was going so darn good. And I'm a fan, and I enjoyed seeing the competitiveness between the two women. And instead of I enjoyed the other side. Don't get me wrong, but I enjoyed that too. But I'm a wrestler, and I enjoyed the hard work that Beth and Trish and these other lady pioneers that made this division what it is today. So she was a pleasure to work with, and Beth, you impressed me, and you impressed a lot of eyeballs, and you earned that respect and that time.
Yeah, and I totally back that up. And like I was saying, she made me such a fan when I was watching, because those matches that she would have were just incredible, because she had charisma. She had that intensity. When you looked into her eyes, everyone was like, whoa. And that's something that I try to do, because she always brought that intensity. She always brought that style. I always try to have charisma and style, but yet still be intense and have that, rough and tough, but yet still show your vulnerable side and still be a sweetheart. So that's something that I always enjoyed, and always, always enjoyed watching Beth. Like, she was like absolutely one of my favorite. I wouldn't call her a diva. I would just say a wrestler, because I don't consider it any different. I consider her the best of the best. So, again, so, okay, well, back to all this heartful stuff, but what type of music were you listening to when you were training and stuff? Like, like when you were getting back, like, I want to know, like, what type of music were you getting into, and like, what was your like motivational stuff? Like, what were you thinking of, and like, just like, what was in your head, and like, what type of music, and what were you reading? Because right now I've been into like a lot of spiritual stuff and self-motivation and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think, like, Adam and I talk about this a lot. To be successful in wrestling, especially on a large level, you almost have to be married to it. I always joke, like, I have 2 wedding rings, you know what I mean? Wrestling and my husband. And, so for me, I was like the quintessential wrestling fan. Like, I would make playlists on my Discman. Again, we're talking like pre-internet times. And, I listened to like the Attitude Era soundtrack and like wrestling songs, people's entrance music. And that's what got me fired up, because in my head, I would visualize myself on that big stage. And I believe a lot in like visualization and making that happen for yourself. And so I'd say music wise, it was usually like anything wrestling related. But then I also liked metal at the time. Like, I have a real appreciation for all kinds of music depending on the moods.
Yeah, that's the same with me. It's all like, I feel like if someone asks me like, what's your favorite band, it's kind of hard to say like, what's your favorite band, because it's like your type of mood, because I love all types of music, and it's kind of like your mood, because your mood can change any instant. And I never want to not listen to any type of music. I always want to keep an open mind,
Yeah, totally. I mean, I love country music when I'm hanging out with my friends. I'll listen to classical music if I'm reading a book or winding down to go to bed. I love blues. I had a fortunate trip to go see BB King when I was 16 years old.
What? No way.
Yes, my dad took me to see BB King at 16 years old, and I was like crying, because I'm like, what am I even watching? It was just so soulful, and just, he was just telling stories with music, which I had never seen before. So I really appreciated that. And then I got into other blues artists. I like Oscar Peterson. I love piano. So, but then there's also like Queen, which is in this own special pocket for me, just because I feel like Queen is one of those bands that you could just put on a playlist of 20 songs and just listen to everything. So yeah, that would be depending on the mood.
Nice. Well, Sarge, how about you? This is what I'm kind of interested in. What were you listening to when you were driving down the road? And then what's one funny dad story?
Well,
Yes.
as Thunderbolt will verify, when we were going down the road on our horses, we had those we had those record players. You had the crank to, and type they'd scratch and you know what you were listening to. But no, I was a lot like Beth here. I was into AC/DC, and it depended on who you were with. When I rode up and down the roads with your father, we did a lot of Hank Williams,
Yeah.
all country, and he taught me the words to some songs I never knew existed, and so that's kind of what I listened to. I listened to whatever anybody else wanted to listen to.
Nice. So
I'll
what's
never
the
forget? I made a cassette tape of all the sad country songs, and I got on a plane and I was going to my seat and I saw Macho Man, and he said, "Hey, sir, you got any music?" So I said, "Yeah." So I held up the line. I gave him a cassette, and we went from Newark to L.A. And we landed in L.A. He got off early because he was up in first class, of course. And as I come off, he came over to me and he goes, "That was some rib, Sarge." He said, "I'm going through a separation with Elizabeth. I've been crying ever since I left Newark. Where am I going to live when I get home?" Good question. So I got a lecture and a promo and a cassette handed back to me. But it was
That's
fun.
funny. So what's a good old pop story you have to tell?
Well, some of my stories with your dad were basically in the ring. Teamed up with Don Kernodle, and we were the world champions. And your uncle and your dad's brother Jack were a team. And sometimes we would be in these smaller venues, and we'd always start out with Jerry and Don and do a couple spots, and then Jack would get tagged in, and of course Jack would fireman's carry him and stretch him, and he begged to get a tag. So I get a tag. Okay, lock up with your uncle and fireman's carry. Fireman's carry. I said, "Yeah, go ahead." He said, "No, you fireman's carry me." Wait a minute, am I hearing this right? So I give Jack Brisco a fireman's carry.
Oh
And
man.
He's laying, kind of sitting there looking at me on his hands and knees. He always put his hands on his sides like that. So he locked up again. He said, "Arm drag." Okay. Arm drag me. So anyways, long story short, I ended up getting behind Jack and kind of like almost pinning him a couple times. Finally, I got up and I looked over to Colonel. I said, "What's so tough about Jack Brisco? You keep telling me Jack Brisco is the toughest guy in the world." And he looks at me. So then Jack goes, "Tag him in." So I go to tag Don, and he goes, No, I don't want to go in there. So he knew what was coming. So then Jack would take Jerry in, and same thing. They'd stretch the heck out of Don and give me the tag, and Jerry did the same thing his brother did. Flying all over the ring for me. I'd get done. What's so tough about Jack and Jerry Brisco? I don't understand it. Give the tag. He said, "No, please, Sarge, please." And he'd get in there, and they, of course, they were merciless to him, but we had a lot of fun. We do spots where I would yell at the people with my back to the ropes, and Jerry would call a spot and hit the ropes, and I would fall down on the floor. And by the time I got back up to tag, they would take Don away from me. So that would go on for 15, 20 minutes.
It sounds like
that was the fun of the business.
It sounded like you guys really got to have the opportunity to like have fun and actually tell a story out there and actually get to work the crowd and get to dictate kind of how you dictated the match, other than just trying to throw a bunch of stuff together. You kind of got to react with the people and figured out what was working for you. Was that one of the main things that was the best?
We didn't talk about anything. It was all in the ring. Every crowd is different, as I mentioned yesterday. When you go to an arena, you don't know if they were going to be a hero crowd or a villain crowd. You know, you had to listen and watch, and you watch every match, make sure you don't do the same things that everybody else does, and that some things were taboo. If Jerry Brisco used a fireman's carry, nobody else did a fireman's carry. That was it. You know, that's the way we were taught.
Yeah.
And just to really yeah, there you go. I remember coming up to the gorilla position, and Jerry said to me, Sarge, instead of 25 minutes, he had 25:30 because Beth went long.
So one of my
Just
man,
kidding.
one of my main mans is right here. Look at him. He's dressed better than Ric Flair. Look, we got the boots on. I think he got the what's this, ostrich, and I got the gators going on. Mr.
They're real. Yeah, that's what this whole name of the game.
So I want to know, what were you jamming to when you're cruising down the road?
Well, I'm from Waterloo.
I know. I did some research. I actually have some questions to
I was
ask you.
country when country wasn't cool. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, we went to what? I mean, hey, all of them didn't even shout. We went to all of them. I come up in the streets, blues man. I went. Everybody that it was somebody, I went to their performance and whatever. I love all type of music. And when Jerry and I, we went to see Willie Nelson, and we went to see B.B. King, and we went to see them all over different places. And come on,
You and my future wife double dated to see BB King. Yeah.
yes, we did. You know? Well, I mean, I only have to tell the real good one, Jerry, because I mean, I don't want to get into all of the things that we done. You understand what I'm saying? Can't do it. But I just, when I left this place, I thought I was going to be a preacher, but I didn't want to play with the thing. You understand what I'm saying? And as the time went on, I started understanding different things and started seeing things different and all type of stuff. And I'm an ordained minister. I love gospel music. I have a gospel group. You know what I'm saying? I have individuals that done 20 to 30, 40 years that sing in the gospel. Testimony. I have a testimony, and I need to testify. You understand what I'm saying? So we think about all of those people that's incarcerated, but all of their people. I mean, we got to give them some understanding. We got to, come together. See, I mean, as the wrestling business, y'all, listen to me now. What he started saying a while ago. Now, when we talk about what we go in, when Jerry and I had such chemistry. I mean, as they do today, you go into a dressing room and they're in the corner talking the whole match till they get ready to go in there. Okay? But Jerry and I would go into the ring. I mean, like Sergeant was saying a while ago, we'd go in the ring, we do what we do. And we don't, I mean, the name of the game is wrestling, and it's all about money, y'all. It's all about the people. See, excuse me, asses in seats. Y'all hear me? You hear what I'm saying? That's just the name of the game. And that's what we're supposed to do. And when individuals don't know what they're doing, then, ma'am, when you have talent, people that's in charge recognize talent. But people that not in charge, they will let it go in any kind of way. You had the opportunity to be with the best, to bring you in, to show what you know how to do. Because this is people come see wrestling, and then they want to be entertained. Don't you understand what I'm saying? When you can put the two things together, And when you can, do what you do, what you have to do, it's what you have to do. I mean, it's certain individuals, like one of my best friends, along with Jerry there, Bruiser Brody. The chemistry. I mean, do what you do, but you don't allow other people to do things that's gonna hurt this business. So I get they give me a bad name because I didn't want to. When I come into this business, I done everything that I was asked to do. I started here, went to Minnesota. I mean, all of the top individuals. I've done all the things that they asked me to do. But then I got to a point where I understood. It's deep, man. It's deep. The first time when we were talking about the music, Dickie Steinborn asked me put on a James Brown, come out through the thing, for whatever. I told Jay, I said, no, man, don't do that. I don't need that. I don't need to hype them. If I can't hype them people with what I do,
that's talent right there, boy.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you don't need that music.
Hey, and then if I had to, I don't care who he is or where he is, I learned how to wrestle because I dealt with individuals that know how to wrestle.
Ooh, man, that's deep.
My mama put me in the. I started wrestling when I was 6 years old, but when I got to wrestling, the professional wrestling, I wrestled with individuals that knows what they were doing. I had the opportunity and blessed. I know how to deal with these a little bit. You understand? Before I got that, and when I combined all that stuff together, we didn't allow people to do the things that was going to hurt the business because we protected the business. We don't do, you might see the same thing sometime, but we don't do reputation stuff. Hey, we ain't Hollywood.
You dress like Hollywood, I'll tell you that. You be looking good. Hey, you be dressed like Hollywood.
I mean, that's just me.
That's me too, man.
Just trying to, hey, you do what you do. That's when you do it so well.
It's
deep, y'all.
Yes.
So I don't want to take up too much. You want to ask me something else?
Yes, this is something that I was looking it up and I never know. Something about the NWA brass knuckle title.
I come from the streets.
Well, first of all, I didn't even realize that you were the first person ever to hold that title, right?
I was the first one. I guess the first one. I was the first one they put the crown on and all that kind of stuff. And that's what I could do. I used to, anyway, but loose. That's what I used to do here. I used to go in the packing house. Maybe 13, 14 years old. I'm prepared a man in there.
Throw them hands. I know. I'll throw them hands too. Yeah.
And then when I learned how to wrestle, y'all,
the boys didn't want to touch you there. The boys didn't want to touch you there.
But the thing about that is, listen to me now. But the thing about that is, hey man, I don't hate nobody. No. I mean, but I ain't gonna let nobody. If I let anybody get on this is my space. I'm supposed. If Jerry tell me, hey man, go out and do what you do, that's what I'm gonna do. You're not gonna alter that by thinking you bad, because I will stop you. You understand what I'm saying? That's how it was. And I got to, I mean, ain't nothing unbeatable or whatever, but God's been with me all the way. You hear what I'm saying? And when you come in with talent, baby, it's a lot of envious and jealous folks that want to shut that down from the get-go. No. You got to get some understanding. You don't do it. If you want to work, we're going to work. But if you want it, that's up to you. That's whatever, and then don't give me the bad name. It was your fault. Don't be lying on me about it. You got me? It's deep, y'all.
Real deep.
Well, speaking of deep, oh, that's great. But We got James Jeffries here as well with us, guys. All of you who have been here before, I mean, no, James is kind of the heart and soul of this weekend with IPW and that crew. So it's a big deal to have him here with us, and we're glad to have you on. But James, being up here, seeing these legends, talking to them, you've been through these Hall of Fame weekends over and over again. Like, what is it for you to be like up here? And
This is the coolest thing to be a part of for me. I mean, I'm so honored to sit up here with all of you because I have so much respect for all of you. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for any of you legends. So thank you very much for paving the way for me. I love you all and I respect you all very, very much. And this weekend, just the museum, the weekend, the events, it's such a blast and it's such a reunion. I feel for us all to get back together and to catch up on old times and make new memories. I've had a blast. It's been fun to help volunteer here at the museum, and Jim and Troy and Chad do such a fabulous, and Mel, they do such a fabulous job with this weekend. And it's very hard not to get caught up in the excitement and get caught up in the brotherhood and the sisterhood with everyone, because it's a great weekend. It's an awesome thing to see the turnout. Thank you guys all for coming. It's an excellent, excellent time. And this is a really cool weekend. I had a blast last night against B. Brian Blair in a real tough match. It was an honor. It was an honor to get to wrestle him and get to be officiated by this man, James Beard, who I have a lot of respect for. Thank you, James.
that's the perfect way to segue into, because James, we actually wanted to bring you up here real quick and ask you a question. Understand now you had JBL's first match.
Yeah, I did. It was interesting. I was telling Jerry about that this morning because John is a good friend to both of us, and we both kind of had a little to do with his career getting started. He's quite a character. I was sitting in the dressing room, actually in the offices at the Sportatorium, talking to Skandar Akbar, and Manny Fernandez was in there. And that night we happened to have we were doing TV, and the main event wasn't going to happen because of I can't remember who the guy was, but whoever was supposed to come in and work with Rod Price, who was our champion at the time, wasn't going to make it, and we didn't know what we were going to do, so we were rearranging TV. Heard a knock on the door, and we went and opened the door up. And this is in the middle of the afternoon, and there that big, tall, blonde-haired goof was standing there. And we go, "Who are you?" He goes, "I'm John Layfield." He said, "I'm looking for a job." And we're going, "Well, yeah, great." You hear that all the time. And they said, "Come on in, we'll talk to you." And he told us who he was and that Brad Ringans had trained him. And we thought, well, maybe as a clue then. And the more we talked to him, you get a feel sometimes when you're in business for a while. I know you've done this a million times. You can tell when a guy might have a little something on him, and even just by talking to him before you ever see him in the ring. And so we thought, well, we'll put him in the main event with our champion, and I'll officiate it, and if it goes bad, we'll just beat him real quick. And if it goes good, we'll see how things go. Well, we went through that night. Well, we had a Broadway, by the way. Some of the young guys don't know what going through is, but it just turned out really well. His first match, smooth, everything worked good, and from that moment on, we were fast friends, and did everything I could to help him, and got to a point to where he was ready to move on, and Jerry took it over from there. And I'm really proud of the guy. He's done a lot of amazing things, not just in the business, but as we were talking this morning, for a lot of underprivileged folks now, and I'm really proud of the guy.
Perfect. Thank you, James. Thank you. And then real quick, we wanted to say hello to our other friend, Mr. Riddle in the back there, looking all nice in his suit as well.
And then Mr. Tony over there. He's the real man. I don't think that guy has ever aged one bit.
He's 50 years older than me, Wes, and he hadn't aged a bit.
Oh my goodness.
Greer, you don't want to start. You got your lovely, lovely girlfriend with you and your future wife with you probably. And so I'm not going to start telling stories on you, but we will back to New Zealand. There's a lot of people walking around with full heads of hair down there.
So, Beth, what's one of your favorite memories traveling? Like, not necessarily in the ring, but like one of your like favorite moments with someone just traveling, and like, because a lot of the times when I'm on the road, I always like to go see things. I kind of don't like being trapped in the hotel room. I kind of like get claustrophobic. I know a lot of guys like to just sit in the room, but I like to see the world. I like to go adventure. What's some of the cool things that you got to experience and see?
So my very, very first plane ride, I come from a small town, Elmira, New York. And my very first plane ride ever was to Spokane, Washington to do an indie show for Roddy Piper. So it was the first time I didn't even understand like where to bring my ID, like when I walked into the airport. So like my first experience with travel was wrestling, and ever since. And I didn't get to get out very much other than by car. So going to Europe and going, to Japan and Australia, I mean, I could talk forever, because when I started working for WWE, I thought, my goodness, what an amazing season in my life, where my dream job is allowing me to see places that I would normally never see. I would never get out to Australia, like just randomly. And so I made a promise to myself that as I traveled, I would do as many tourist attractions, visit as many things as I could. When we went to France, I went to the Louvre. I saw the Mona Lisa. I saw Notre Dame Cathedral.
Wow.
When we went to Rome, I went to the Colosseum, and I went to Vatican City and, walked the walls, and we did all kinds of traveling. I mean, in Barcelona, we went to the marketplace. South Africa. In Australia, we did the Sydney Harbour Bridge walk.
My goodness, I want to do that so bad.
I'm afraid of heights. And I remember we were all linked, like we went with a group. So there's no turning back. We're all linked. So if you bail, everybody's got to bail. So like, of course, I didn't want to be the one to ruin everybody's scenic trip. So we're going to a certain point. I'm like, I see this kind of like marker, and I'm like, all right, I can get there. I can do this. So we get to the marker, and then I was like second to the front. And I said to our tour guide, I said, oh man, we made it. What a beautiful view. And she goes, sweetheart, we ain't to the top. She goes, the top's up there. And I was like, what? So like, we probably walked another hour before we even got to the top. So it was spectacular. I have so many memories of traveling all over the world. But I think my favorite, and I have to say, like, we went to El Salvador and visited some third world countries, and but going to Japan was one of my bucket list moments. And just wrestling in front of that crowd and getting to experience the culture, and just, it was really special to go to Japan.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, my first time to Japan was just, it's a culture shock. You show up to Japan, and I've been to a lot of different countries. I've been to a lot of different cities. I've hung out with a lot of different people. But when you go to Japan, it's totally different. Everything is different. No one jaywalks. Everyone stands in perfect lines. No one talks. Everyone's just, it's a whole nother world. And the culture, the food, the big lights, just the experience. Japan is probably one of my best favorite places too.
And I think, like, internationally, I had the amazing experience. And I was talking about this a little bit earlier. So I'm the first American born in my family. My family's all from Poland. And a lot of my family didn't speak English really well. And when they came to this country, the one form of entertainment that they really attached to was wrestling, because you didn't need to speak English to understand what was happening. You knew good guy, you knew bad guy, and the story was told with their bodies and emotions. So they were hooked from jump, with watching wrestling. And so I love going to other countries, because even if we didn't speak the language, I just found it remarkable that we could communicate, we could connect with people with just what we put out there with our bodies. I always thought that was the coolest thing.
Awesome. Well, I want to ask you guys, do you guys have any questions for us?
I've got one thing. We were talking at breakfast this morning, and it's really interesting to me because Jerry is such a great amateur and Bolt was such a great performer. You talked about how he taught you really how to blend the two things together. And I think that's really important. It's interesting to me. Can you talk about that a little bit?
We were talking earlier this morning, as James said, about breakfast and about experience and learning the business and everything. I started right out of college, as I told a lot, so I won't go into it, Hodge and my brother and all that stuff to make it shorter. When I started in business, I got really lucky. I got to go to Australia, and I was down there. I was basically a rookie, and Jim Barnett brought in the stars of the world, and I was the only rookie down there. There was Mark Lund, there King Curtis's, there Mr. Fuji's, Killer Buddy Austin. I mean, the Hall of Fame list just goes on and on and on. So, but these guys took me under the wing, and they showed me the ropes. And like I said, I was basically a rookie. I was just very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time and get this opportunity. Went down for 3 months, ended up promoter liked me, Jim Barnett liked me, and ended up staying a year. And so anyway, I went into North Carolina. My first partner in North Carolina was a tag team, basically tag team territory, which is great, and I love it. So my first partner was Sandy Scott, one of the best technicians, one of the best solid wrestlers probably in the business, one of the best minds in the business. Sandy taught me how to become a tag team, how to work tag team, and how to stay serious in a match and all that. So Sandy and I had a great run. We ran through everybody, and then come time for a change, I went off to sing a little bit, and all of a sudden, Thunderbolt, who had just left my brother in Florida, had come into Carolinas. My brother said, "Take care of my little brother up in Carolinas for me." So, but Bolt got up there, and we wanted to team Bolt. The office wanted to, Jim Crockett Sr. wanted to, and John Ringer wanted to team Bolt up with somebody, and so it was between me and Ronnie Garvin, and I got the nod. And so I started working with Bolt. As I told James earlier, big difference, I learned how to work with Thunderbolt or with Sandy Scott and learn how to become a tag team. But with this guy right here, I learned the entertainment and how to put asses in seats. I learned the difference between having a match where it's just dead ass serious or having a match where you could have fun and throw entertainment and entertain those people. He taught me how to put people in the arena, and I'll never forgive him for that. And look at the difference. I mean, there's a big difference between just knowing how to work and having a good match, or going out there, Beth was talking earlier, having a good match and entertaining the people and getting those people back in the business. And he was without this man here, I'm going to say it here, worldwide, globally on Big Ace and Brisco podcast, without this man here, there would have been no American Dream. You look at him, an American Dream. I kidded him the other day. It's like, I'm saying two names here, it's probably too old for you guys. Pat Boone and Little Richard. Pat Boone stole one of every Little Richard songs and made a fortune off them, but Little Richard got royalties off the song because they're his. American Dream stole all his things and didn't give him a dime because there were no royalties off of it. But so without Thunderbolt Patterson, there'd been no American Dream. And I love them both.
Any of you guys have any other questions? Because we're getting
I just want to know what it feels like to not be at home all the time and be out and doing wrestling.
Well, here's the thing. Wrestling is a job. And when it becomes a job, it's not really the traveling is what makes it the job. The wrestling is the best part of the life. It's something that is just, it's unbelievable. And the traveling, it gets hard on us, and it gets tiring, and that's what actually makes it the work. But when we get done doing the show and we have people like you that come up and smile and appreciate it, it makes all those long flights, I don't care where it is. If I see a smile on your face, it doesn't matter. It makes me happy. I'll travel all around the world just to try to make one person smile, because smiles mean a lot to a lot of people. And if you can just smile to somebody, you can change someone's day. So that's the whole reason why, it is hard to, live on the road and be in a hotel every day. And trust me, I've been on the road for the past week, and then I'm home for 2 days, and then I'm gone for a week, and then I'm home for 2 days, and I'm going to Canada for like 5. So it gets stressful. But when I make an impact on a kid's life and I can make them smile, all that goes away.
I'd like to hear a mom's point of view, leaving her two beautiful young girl babies at home and go on the road. I'd like to hear a mom's point of view on that, Beth.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, who, me? Yeah. So like we were kind of talking about a little bit earlier on the panel, it's a different world now. I think it's more open to parents and to women having children and coming back. I think I'm very attached to my kids, and they are to me. But I try to use this as a life lesson, a teaching experience. And when we talk about what we have to do to make money, but I also tell my girls that you have to be passionate about what you're doing in this world. It's important that you get, and Adam and I talk about this too, it's important that you get self-fulfillment, because if you don't take care of your own needs and your own desires, then you can't be a great parent. You can't set an example. And part of that is also providing for our family. So we're putting food on the table by doing this job. And also my husband and I both are fortunate that we had the same passion. We both wanted to do this. But it is really hard to leave them behind. They don't understand. My 3-year-old is screaming at me right before I walked in here. Where are you? Why can't you be here? But one day I hope that they look at what Adam and I did and they find their own wrestling. It doesn't have to be wrestling, but they find something in their life that they love enough to be passionate enough and pursue. Because for me, I hope that they find something. I don't care what it is. I hope they find something. And it is really hard to be away. But to your point, Wes, I also think in addition to like putting smiles on people's faces, I think that we become family to each other because we're all in the same boat. Yep. It doesn't matter if you're working in Canada, Mexico, Spain, you walk into a locker room and we're all there for the same reason. Yep. And we all get each other. So I think when you're lonely and something's going on at home and you can't be there and there's stress, I think you can walk into the locker room and at least get 1 or 2 people that are like, I get it. I get you. So that's always nice knowing that we're just kind of part of this big family.
Cool. Anybody else have any questions before we're about to wrap it up?
Yeah, I got a question, Beth. I don't need a mic. The guys, they bond through ribbing and also through drinking.
Whoa. Hey, I've seen some of the women throw down some drinks, so hey, you can't discriminate on that.
That is rumor only.
I don't imagine you're doing a bunch of ribs against each other. How do you girls bond together? Is it working out, makeup tips? I don't know.
That's a good question.
It's strictly pillow fights. That's what we all do all day. No, we rib each other all the time. Natty and I spent a lot of time on the road together. And as you know, with your road wives, you get to the point where we've told all the stories to each other. We always joke that it's the dead horse rodeo. Yeah. We're always telling the same stories to each other, and to entertain ourselves, we would pick on each other and do the same thing. Of course, we ribbed and worked out and enjoyed our time together. But Natty and I actually had a pretty silly habit when we would go into a hotel and we were wanting to pay us a lesser price. So we would then kind of put on a show for the person that was working the desk. And Natty would tell a sob story that I was late for my wedding to Paul Orndorff. I was getting married. And usually, if the desk person knew who Paul Orndorff was, this made the story even more entertaining. But then I would break into tears and just talk about like how my wedding dress is still in transit. And we would tell this whole sob story just to entertain ourselves. And occasionally we would get a deal, but most of the time it was just for our own entertainment. Sorry, Mr. Wonderful.
Well, we want to thank all of you guys for being here with us today, being here this weekend at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame for the Hall of Fame weekend. Tell your friends, bring, like they say, 2-3 times people back next year so we can make it bigger and better. We want to thank all of our guests that are up here again. James Jeffries from IPW. Give it up for him. Guys, check it out. He's coaching as well at IPW at the Vault, so make sure if you want to get in, this is the man to talk to. Thunderbolt Patterson, the legendary man right here. Thank you. For a little bit, he was the Mr. 24/7 champion a week ago. Jerry Brisco, thank you for being with us. Everybody's favorite, Sergeant Slaughter, thank you. And again, the wonderful Beth Phoenix.
Yes.
My name's Big Ace. Wes with us. Find us online. Follow the podcast, guys. Thank you. Everybody enjoy the rest of your
Can I
weekend.
just tell James one thing?
Yes.
I used to have hair like yours too. See what you have to look forward to.
There it is. Enjoy the weekend, guys. Thank you again.
Thank you guys so much.
Remedial text ability.
It's okay. It's okay.
Patty made it.